All right, guys, we're back with another episode of the FootyPOD. It's been some time, but we're bringing this back new and improved. I got a co-host with me. His name is Evan Bozman. You guys are probably familiar with him. Little did you know, he was actually on our last episode, but did not say a single word. So, Evan, hopefully you can give me a little bit of something in this one.
Yo, we're vibing, man.
Forward.
I was letting it go, and I was trying to hop in when I could.
Fair enough. We'll hop in a little bit more now.
I got you.
I want to make sure you do.
There we go. I'm new to this podcast game. I'm trying to just get my feet wet.
Getting those feet wet.
It's going to get to the point where you have to tell me to shut up.
Hopefully. That'll make my job easy.
There we go.
Well, listen, man. Definitely, excited to have you joining me in this endeavor because I feel like we're gonna really have a lot of important discussions. Like this whole show is just basically about discussing important topics related to talent development and personal development as a whole. So also just current trends in the world of football. Like we'll discuss a little bit of that too, but going forward, the structure of this show will have a specific topic in mind that we'll go over, and we'll have a guest on each show that maybe an expert in that specific topic, or maybe just has had experiences that might allow them to share some interesting insights on that specific topic. So what we wanted to talk about today is just kind of, our developments over the past year, 2 years. I don't even know how long it's been now because COVID has just blurred everything. Like, what year is it?
2022 now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
See, I didn't even know.
Started, 2 years ago? God,
yeah.
Man.
Yeah, we've been in 2022 for about 2 years.
Jeez.
But yeah, things have been changing. Things have been a lot different.
Yeah.
2 years ago, if you guys would have seen where we were at, it would be it would look a lot different from where we are right now. And it's not that we've made grand strides forward and upwards. We've made a few lateral moves to then allow us the ability to move forward and upwards. So we want to talk about that, kind of fill everyone in on the progress that we've made, the changes that we've made, and basically just let you guys know why we decided to drop everything and just start over. And that's the title of this episode.
There we go.
So let's start by just kind of the challenges that we were facing originally. We were just, at first, for those of you who don't know, our structure was more institutional. We were trying to build a complete soccer academy where we had our player development school. We had other school programs, external school programs that we ran. We had training programs. We had personal training. We did, group training. We did camps. And those all fed into our academy teams, which were meant to be competitive, elite level teams. We wanted to do things different from the way that, the club scene has always worked out. And, you and I both have experience playing for big clubs, and now I'm coaching for a big club, and we'll talk about how we got there a little bit later on. But, the main thing for us is we wanted to make an impact. And that's why I started my own organization, my own club, rather than just joining on with somebody else and just, collecting a paycheck to do my job. I wanted to, like I said, make an impact and affect players in a way that I knew that I couldn't do if I was just going with the status quo and just doing what everyone else was doing. Yeah. So the idea was always to provide a platform for players to not only receive the training and the tools they needed to play at the highest level, but then actually also give them the platform to follow that path to the highest level. Yeah. So from our academy teams, we also had a semi-pro team as well called FF Premier. We were building out our women's team as well at the time when COVID hit. And that was kind of like the pinnacle of our academy, of our organization. And with that, the structure that we had in place was fully complete. Now, there were holes that we wanted to fill out. We didn't have, a team in every age group just yet like we wanted to, but the structure was there. It was in place. We had what we wanted. But I think that we were just spread a little bit too thin. We were just trying to do way too much. It was just you and me, and we didn't really have the help we needed to do everything that we wanted to do. So then when COVID hit, we had a choice to make. Were we going to bring that back, or were we going to go with something different? So that's a decision we had to make, and we'll talk about kind of the changes that we made at that point in a minute. But so from there, like the changes that we did make, we went from being spread too thin to then having all of our eggs into one basket that we shouldn't have put all of our eggs into. Yeah,
looking back on it now. At the time, it did seem like something that was going to help us get towards what we wanted to get to.
Yeah, it did. It did. And we did see the potential in it, but unfortunately it didn't work out the way that we had hoped, and we didn't get the same value that we put into it. And we're not going to name any names or call any other organizations out. We're just telling it like it is. We put a lot into it, financially, emotionally, with our time, with our efforts. Like, we really wanted to see that out, and we just didn't get the same, respect and effort in return. Yeah. And so, we, after doing that merger, which came after COVID, we decided to, we kind of saw how it was going. It was about 6 months in that we didn't see the return on investment that we were expecting. So we just decided to scrap it, and that's what's led us to the position that we're in now. I think that, when we did have our Footy Factory Academy teams, when we had all of our structure in place, we were doing the right things, and we wanted to, impact the game at the youth level in a certain way, and we were. But I think that our reputation as a developmental organization, ultimately had an adverse effect on the quality of the teams we were able to build.
Yeah, because we'd have those players come in early. They would take advantage of the extra training, obviously take advantage of our coaching with them, and then just whenever they got up to that level they thought they were at, just let's jump up and go to a new shit. You know? And that's something when you're trying to build what we were trying to build, it's just, it's something that can't happen because you're basically starting from ground zero every year. You keep some of the kids, you get some new talent in, but at the end of the day, if you're not able to retain that whole team that you worked on, then you can't really get to that next step each and every single year.
Yeah, we were used a lot as just a stepping stone for other big clubs, more competitive clubs, and I use air quotes because a lot of the teams that our players would go to were no better than the team that we already had, but because it was attached to a big club name, they were drawn to that. They thought that the grass was greener over there. And what we found out is literally probably 99% of the players that left stopped developing and regretted the decision that they made, whether it was soon after that or a year down the line or 2 years down the line. I'm pretty sure it's safe to say that every single player initially realized that they had probably made a mistake. Yeah. And that they should have stayed with us longer, and that they should have, sought out their development with an organization that was truly about that player development. And mind you, player development is also about team development too. So, it's hard to develop players when the team does not develop. And that's kind of the challenge that we face is we were doing so much good work with the individual players that we had, but because we, like you said, constantly had to start over every year, our teams never really developed. And so that affected our reputation, in the
Yeah,
market,
just as a
right, in the
whole.
Dallas area,
Yeah.
because ultimately our teams were the ones that were representing our brand, right? Like only the people that trained with us understood like the quality of the training and the quality of the service that we provided, and ultimately the teams that we have are the ones that are supposed to present that to the rest of the world, to the rest of the community. And because our teams never really got results, never really reached that elite level, although we were very close with a few groups that we had, you know, the reputation around the community was just always that, you know, we're really good at what we do, and that's developing players, but that's only to a certain point, and at that point they got to go somewhere else, which should not have been the case. And if we had a chance to actually see out, you know, the development that we were creating with some of those teams that we had, some of those groups, like, you know, my 09s, for example, our 06s were really good at one point. You know, if we had a chance to actually see it out with those groups, I think we'd be having a different discussion right now, and I think that we'd probably still have the same structure we had, because it was working. Like we were putting together what we wanted to put together, and you know, and it gave us the opportunity to like create a whole new path that did not exist before for players, for youth players. And it's something that if I was a player, like obviously I was a player, but if I was still a player now, you know, and I had this opportunity when I was growing up, I would have been all over it.
Oh yeah, same here.
Because you got the training, you got the you know, the mental performance, the strength and conditioning, the, you know, every aspect that you needed to develop as a player, we offered it. And so it was a completely holistic
Approach,
you know,
to
program. It was a completely holistic approach, and unfortunately we just didn't have the opportunity to see that out. So that's why, you know, we ended up making the decision to merge with another club, and that was basically our last attempt. This was post-COVID. When COVID hit, you and I started to do a lot more individual training because that's all we could really do.
Yeah. I mean, that's whenever I think we were both doing the most personal training, because everyone was off, working from home. Parents want the kids out of the house. Able to get a lot more in.
And you and I had discounted our rate. Like we'd offered everyone 50% off at that time, because we didn't want people to think like we were just taking advantage of the situation, because, you know, they still had, I think at that time it was like 1 or 2 more team fee payments that they had to make, and they should have been training with us twice a week, you know, like, and they weren't getting that, and we were still offering them value in terms of like Zoom sessions, in terms of, you know, other types of ways that we were able to like stay connected with them and keep helping them develop during that time where they're on their own by themselves. But, you know, ultimately, like, we, you know, realized during that time that our time is going to be rewarded more through the private training.
100%.
Because, hey, we'll show up for a session and we get to spend 1 full hour and give 100% of our attention and energy to one kid, and that can impact that one kid way more than anything that we are doing for the team. And not to mention, like, you know, for us too, we were rewarded financially for it. Even at that time, like, you know, giving those huge discounts, we were still able to make more money individually than we were when we were dedicating all of our time into building up the teams. I mean, shoot, even that last year, like, we actually invested our own money into the teams, into covering scholarship funds, into, you know, players that couldn't afford it. Like, we paid for them. Like, we not only like gave our heart and our soul to the job, but we also pulled money out of our pocket and gave it to these people. And that's something that neither of us are really in a financial position to be able to do. So, you know, like that gave us it gave us a better it changed our perspective. It completely changed our perspective on what was important to us right then and there.
Yeah.
For us, we needed to make money, of course. We needed to make sure that we weren't like, putting ourselves into debt to try to see something out that we should have been getting rewarded for financially. But at the same time, we also wanted to impact more players. And a lot of the players that we had on those teams were simply just players that were there just because.
Yeah, just wanted to try it out, want to see if competitive soccer is for them.
Right.
But then we also had a good amount of boys who knew it was for them, who would show up to the practices, who would do the extra training, we even spent, that half of the year, you and I were analyzing film, like 6 hours a week, and then we would send that out, and we'd still have how many players watch it,
Yeah, not just analyzing it, but actually
taking stats,
breaking down the statistics, that you have to pay major, companies for lots of money to get that type of information. And we're doing that at no extra charge. That was just part of what we did. That was part of what we offered.
Just 'cause we wanted to win.
We just wanted
to win, and we wanted the players to develop.
Yeah. And we always knew that the results were always going to be a product of the process. And ultimately, if we're putting 110% of our heart and soul into something, and then the kids, the parents are only giving us 60% back, then what's the point?
Can't do anything with that.
Can't do anything with it. So, COVID honestly came at a perfect time for us.
No.
I think that a lot of people were broken, were defeated by that, and that's just not who I am. I take on adversity on the chin. I'm just always okay, well, what can I learn from this? How can I get better from this? And what's the next step? What am I going to do now? Based on what has happened. What has happened, it happened. That's it is what it is. You can't change that. But how are you going to respond? How are you going to respond? And I think that we responded in the best way possible in completely changing the direction of our business.
Yeah.
When COVID hit, we decided to, merge with another club, and we brought in our youth academy teams, and they did not have any youth teams. So our plan then was to, run the academy, but then also, I guess, boost the semi-pro team that they had with the players that we had, with ourselves too, which we did. And pretty much, half of their first team and all of their reserve team were players that we brought in. The organizational work that was being done, we offered ourselves for it. We were putting time and energy into it. And like I said, that was pretty much our last attempt to really push our teams to a higher level without sacrificing the integrity of our training business. Because when we made that split, we decided the teams needed to be separate from the training because it was too confusing. People didn't understand. What do y'all do?
Yeah.
What is Footy Factory? It makes no sense. That's a cute name.
Some of them just thought we had teams because that's all they've seen from us. Some knew we were personal training, but we also had teams, and so coaches maybe didn't want to send their kids to train with us because, hey, Sean and Evan might snatch these kids up, which we would never do, but that's just kind of the market we work in, where you're scared to let other players train with you because of what happens. And, that happened, obviously, to us a handful of times with players that we've had.
Of course. And
so
after that happened to us a few times, we, of course, had to change our, kind of mindset on that. And maybe we started to get a little bit more competitive with that too, and holding on to our players, in trying to potentially take other players. No. It's never been my style. I'll work with whatever player wants to be there with me and wants to get better. I will give them everything. You know what I mean? But if they don't, then they don't. It's not a big deal. It doesn't matter how good they are. If you want to go somewhere else, go somewhere else. No sweat off my back.
Yeah.
Because all that's going to do is just create this negative emotion around my work, and that's not and that's not what I want.
No, it's not fun anymore.
It's not, and that's why we do what we do, is because it is fun. We enjoy it. So I think the main thing to take away from that little period is, like, when you face obstacles, because everyone does, it's important to remember, like, they don't block the path. Obstacles do not block the path, but they actually are the path. They show you the way. So we faced a lot of challenges, and I'm really just kind of scratching the surface on the number of challenges that we faced during that period, and why we weren't really able to, like, build up Footy Factory Academy, Footy Factory Premier, the whole institution up to the level that we wanted it. So that was tough for us, but it showed us the path. Like, this is not your path anymore. This is. So we made the merger. The idea was, we are still team coaches. We still, have club teams. We still have a professional team, but our training program is just a feeder into that organization, rather than just a stepping stone within the same organization. And so that was the idea, and it, to me, made a lot of sense, because it allowed us to lean into our reputation as a very good developmental program. But at the same time, keep the kids that we've worked so hard on, and continue to provide them the opportunities that we wanted to from the very beginning. Making this move gave them just a little bit of a bigger platform, I think, and we were excited about that. Now, again, unfortunately, it didn't all happen the way that we wanted to, but it did show us the direction that we needed to take it. I mean, shoot, when we went through all of that, we obviously invested a lot of our own money into it. And then we realized, like, it wasn't working out. We decided to just scrap our academy teams and premier team altogether and just left it behind. Like, all of the players that we brought into that club, they stayed there, and our semi-pro team just went away. Our academy teams, we still had them together under the new brand name. But we, ultimately did not, continue to take them forward with us, because there was just not, I guess, the opportunity for us to take them to another level. It was never about the money for us, because when we scrapped those teams, like, we just eliminated hundreds of thousands of dollars in expected revenue. Like, that's a big risk that we were taking, and we essentially just started completely from scratch at that point. We got back to our roots, and like I said, we leaned into our reputation as that supplemental training brand. And I think, now at this point, sticking to just the private training, just the small group training, by appointment only, all independent contractors working as trainers under our umbrella, it allows us to not only expand much further and scale much bigger, but it also allows us to impact many, many more lives.
100%.
With a lot less of our time and effort.
Yeah, because, the kids that are, the players that are coming to work with us, whether it be one kid or two kid in a private group training or a private training, or, your 3 to 6 in the small, that they're there to work. They are already playing either at a high level and are looking to get better, or maybe they're the younger ones that are trying it out, and that's a space where they can try it out. Because, obviously what you're working with, you talk to the parents a little bit beforehand, and like you said, you're just able to affect those kids in such a much more positive way, because you can actually give them the attention they need, because it's just one of them, or it's just a couple of them. And so you can really actually kind of hone in and actually plan what that specific player needs. And then you also start to build that deeper connection with them, where we actually go out to their games and we watch them, and then even do like had dinners with a couple of them or go to like little housewarming parties, kind of stuff like that. And that's some stuff that you might never get the chance to do if we had, like, I had 2 teams and you had 2 teams, and it was like
you're just so busy all the time.
So busy all the time, and you have players that aren't coming, that need to be there. You have some that are coming that don't want to be there, and it's just like kind of we said earlier. I mean, it felt more like work. Didn't enjoy it anymore. Whereas with the personal training, you go into they're wanting to work, and that's something that makes us love it.
Yeah,
it's because we look at where we could have been in their shoes, and we would have done the same exact thing they are.
Yeah.
So
yeah, absolutely,
mm-hmm.
absolutely, and like for us, I think that we've always just done a good job of being flexible and,
mm-hmm.
and adapting to our environment. And, for me, that's something that's kind of defined my whole life. Right. But, this business is an illustration of my life, and now your life too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You've come in as a part owner
mm-hmm.
during this period, and it's a big step up from the responsibilities that you used to have as just an employee.
Yeah.
And I know that you still kind of maybe think of yourself that way sometimes.
Yeah.
You even call me boss sometimes still, which
I
I'm
just
like
to. I think it's fun. Majority owner, so.
All right, we got to stop that.
All right, boss.
But so we've gone through some changes, and bringing you in as an owner, giving you ownership
mm-hmm.
was a no-brainer for me, because you had shown me the quality of person you are, the trust that I can put into you, and obviously, like, I know that this is going to be a relationship that will last forever. Like,
yeah.
it's not just going to fade away. There's I think at this point I know you well enough to know that nothing is ever going to get between us. Like,
yeah.
Like, I could never see that happening. And so, like I said, it was a no-brainer bringing you into that
mm-hmm.
role, and it's only just elevated what we've done, because now you have a vested interest in seeing us
mm-hmm.
grow as well. You're not just collecting a paycheck, and I know it was never about that for you, but at the same time, it's like I felt like I was asking you to do a lot more than really your job description called for
mm-hmm.
during that time. And I wanted to make sure that you did not get that didn't affect the enthusiasm that you had for the job.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So having you in has been fantastic, and we made some big changes
mm-hmm.
last year, going into this year even, and for me, one quote that I like that kind of explains the moves that we've made is, intuition is a very powerful thing, more powerful than even intellect. So you can be like the smartest person in the world, but if you just don't like see what's happening around you, and you're not able to adapt and move with the market, then you're gonna get left behind.
Yeah.
And that could have easily happened to us during that time.
Sure.
Could have easily happened to us,
mm-hmm.
but we actually built our brand stronger during
mm-hmm.
quarantine than ever before, and that's what kind of got us back to our traditional way of doing business, which is working through the individual, always
mm-hmm.
working through the individual. And that was the same idea that we had when we had teams as well. We wanted to work through the individual to build a successful club, and it was just a little bit too difficult to do that. And I think that we, at the time, were not in a position to continue just beating our heads against the wall, trying to see
mm-hmm.
out this one plan, that we just had to adjust our course. And we found a new path. We still have the same kind of ultimate goal in mind, which is to,
mm-hmm.
to make an impact, to help the next generation of soccer players, of soccer trainers, of soccer coaches, of soccer parents, to just understand better and try to be better. And I think that with what we're doing now, we're definitely doing that.
No, 100%.
now our long-term objective is not to build a club that's just in one place, but we want to have a presence in all major markets around the world with our training brand. We want to license out our trainer education to the general public. We want to continue to grow our online marketing efforts and ultimately build a globally recognized brand where we can, connect with other training brands in other countries and other cities and go and work with them, collaborate with them, make videos with them, piggyback off of each other and help each other grow our following, and even from that then leverage that into doing camps, into doing joint programs, clinics, combines, where that does actually turn into a financial gain as well. So that's kind of the long-term goal, and we're already taking steps towards that. We want to be completely mobile. We want to be completely I guess free to do the things that we want to do.
And we are.
Yeah. And I couldn't be happier about that. So I think that the change of direction, really allowed for the freedom and the financial flexibility to have, a deeper impact on many, many, many more lives around the world than we would have been able to do had we just continued doing what we were doing. It was the right thing for a certain period of time, but times changed and we had to adjust, and that's what we did.
It worked out extremely well for both of us. I don't know if you want to touch on where you're at right now, but one of the things that I was always just kind of thinking about whenever we were coaching, I know I think I'm better with individuals and little small groups, but you, on the other hand, I know are good at that, but you're also a really great team coach, and you love to work with teams. You love to, plan the curriculum. You love to train them up, show them all the video stuff, but ultimately just to help them understand the game more and then see that production on the field. And so it seemed like at times that I could see how frustrated you would get at times just coaching the team aspect kind of where we were at. Just because at times it didn't seem like we were able to do exactly what we wanted to do with the boys. It seemed like you didn't, as opposed to when we were with the private training, we could do exactly what we wanted to do.
Because we're there for that hour. We're paid for that hour, and for that hour, it's just you and I. It's me and that kid. You know what I mean? And so what you get from that hour is ultimately up to you, of course. But I know that within that hour, I can give them everything that I want to give them. And then what they take from it is up to them. They take it to their own teams. They take it to their own environment, and they implement it. And ultimately, the reward comes back to us in the form of just the relationship that we built with them. Obviously, the financial aspect of it, like we're paid better for the time that we're putting in. And really just like the overall impact that we can make on their development. Like we can do a lot more with them. They're going to get a lot more touches with us in an hour in a private session than they would in a team session. Now,
probably even 2 team sessions.
Probably a whole, month of team sessions. But the point is, like, yes, of course, it's team training is important. Like, group training is important. But also private training is important. And that may not be true in a country like Brazil where they're playing in the street, playing futsal all the time. But that's not our culture. In this culture, like, you do need private training. And there's 100%. Always been a market for that, and there always will be a market for it. And I think that quarantine, COVID, like, helped everyone realize the importance of individual training even more so. And so it was just the right time. Like, we sensed the opportunity and we just jumped on it. And, we're not like where we want to be yet. And I don't think we ever will be where we want to be, because it's a constant, development. Like, the path is always going to change a little bit. But yes, you're right. Like, I do get a lot out of the team coaching. And for me, like, yes, those other 3 things are rewarding. Being able to make a bigger impact on the individual, building the relationship, and then the financial aspect is super important. But, I'm just competitive.
Yeah.
And the reward for me comes from the competition. And so if I put all this energy into a player, into a team, and the results are not showing on the field on game day, and I'm not even talking about just wins.
Just
I'm talking
them
about
going
just
out there,
good performances.
even sometimes just trying
hard. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
a lot of times, like, you know, our teams, like, were just, they would underperform because like the kids just didn't try hard, like,
Yeah.
you know, or you know, they just didn't show up, like
Yeah.
they wouldn't commit to the games.
Mm-hmm.
They had other things that were a priority, and you know, we'd show up to games shorthanded, and it's like, man, you can't do anything like that.
No.
I was fortunately, you know, whenever we realized that we were gonna separate from this club and do our own thing, just drop our academy teams, drop FF Premier where it was, and move forward in a new direction. I got an opportunity to coach ECNL team at DKSC, and I put my name in the hat, and had, you know, kind of interviewed with a few clubs, but DKSC was the only club for me. Like, that was the only one where I saw that I could actually fit in, where I felt like comfortable, where I felt like it was a family.
Yeah.
And the main reason for that is just because of the diversity of the coaching staff, of the directors, of everyone involved. Like, you know, it's obviously, there's a lot of Hispanics there, but there's also people from other places too. Yeah. And I just felt comfortable in that environment because I have an ethnic background, and you know, I've just never felt comfortable with just like the plain Jane, you know, the way that things have always been done. And I know that DKSC is trying to do things differently. I got a great opportunity to coach an ECNL team, and I'm really enjoying it because I can actually like get after these kids. You know, they're U16s. So like, that's
some older boys.
They're older. That's the age now where, you know, you're thinking about college, you're thinking about going pro. Like, if you look at the average age of when a player goes pro, like, it's 16, 17.
Yeah.
You know? And so, like, they need to be treated as pros. And I'm able to actually treat them as pros, which is the level that I want to work at.
Yeah.
So for me, team coaching is the biggest reward. That's ultimately where I'm trying to take my career. But Footy Factory has afforded me a vehicle to be able to then go and pursue my team coaching career. And you know, the way that we're going to do that is to continue to scale, continue to grow, and continue to build, eventually, passive income for you and I, which is going to free us up to do, you know, other things that we enjoy as well.
Yeah.
So what is your long-term goal? What are you trying to do with, you know, your own career? I know that, you know, you obviously have your criminal justice degree.
Yeah. So
why don't you fill people in on that?
Probably if we listened to that last podcast, was it the very first one? Was that the very first one? Yeah. So basically, the very first one, I was just kind of.
Or number two.
Number two. Yeah, but I was kind of looking at what to do, and so I started working for a private investigator.
Yeah.
And so I've had a good amount of cases, not as many as I would have kind of hoped, because I kind of got hired with that right whenever COVID started.
Yeah.
And so it was mainly just just a learning process. So every couple of weeks there'd be a Zoom learning thing I'd hop on, or we would do like kind of mock interviews and a little surveillance stuff here and there. And I thought it was cool and I liked it, but kind of looking back on that, it just seems like something where the hours probably aren't going to be kind of what I want for it, because it's going to just really be, once I'm in a case, I have no idea how long it's going to take with the surveillances and stuff like that. So I got I signed up for the certified fraud examiner. Okay. So I'm in that group now, and it's basically just kind of like I'm putting myself back in school, which is tough at times. It's just weird.
Yeah.
But basically doing that, and then hopefully from that I can land kind of investigative job, whether it's with just like your normal type of company, or like maybe like a cyber tech type-ish company, and kind of working in that, because I do want to do the investigation stuff because I want to help people.
Yeah.
And I know the policing around with the climate. That's not really kind of where I want to be at right now, but I still kind of passionate about that. So, I mean, long term, I see myself doing that. I mean, I see us having, you know, a good amount of trainers that we trust, that love it, that range from different areas, different ethnicities, different ages, that just all love to do it like we love to do it. And maybe for some of them, they can have enough clients to where it's full-time job, but kind of like how we've been telling people, you know, even if you just have, you know, 3, 4, 5 a week, like you're still able to impact people doing something you love. And that's what I think is the most important thing for me is just, even, I know obviously both of us, we didn't get to the highest level we wanted to get to. And so we both kind of attest that to kind of the levels that we played at growing up, and us not going to private training as much, or us not being kind of given the just tips or resources, kind of stuff like that. And so now the fact that we can do that for just, I mean, countless kids. I mean, you've seen it with Josh. We've worked with Casey. I mean, there's a number of players that not only have gone to like a high-level club team, but high-level college teams and also professional teams. And so I think we're both at a point in our career where coaching players that get to that level, seeing them get to the level, or even coaching the ones at the level is almost just as satisfying.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
You know, and, you know, you talk about your passion, you know, and wanting to pursue that passion.
Yeah.
For me, obviously, like I just mentioned, like the passion is like, you know, the competition. Like, I get a lot out of that. And, you know, that started as a player and now it's as a coach. But I'm also very passionate about like helping players individually reach the level that they want to as well. So, you know, I think that you can have more than one passion in life, and I want to be able to pursue both. And before, the way that our setup was, it didn't allow for that for me. Yeah. Because, you know, I was helping players individually, but I didn't get the competitive reward that I needed. And I was pretty much just always going to be stuck in that position unless we continued to add new levels. Yeah,
or if we even just, by the grace of God, somehow managed to keep one team together. But then even then, it's still at like a slower rate than I think you can climb.
Exactly. Yeah. And I was ready to just take that next step. I needed to be challenged. I was in an environment before where I was not being challenged. I was kind of like, you know, stuck in a rut and just kind of like dealing with the same issues year after year after year. And it got to a point where even just like with my coaching, like I felt like I was just saying the same things and like doing the same things. And I wasn't able to like, you know, when you work with higher level players, they're going to challenge you to think about things in a different way. And that happened right away with you know, my team that I have now. And I had to step up. I had to raise my level immediately, or, you know, or else I was not going to get the most out of that team. Yeah. And so it just, that stuff excites me. Like, I like being able to just, you know, get better and be in an environment where I know I'm going to get better. Yeah. So, yeah, like I said, you know, you being able to pursue your passion on the side while continuing to, you know, be rewarded for another passion that you have is super valuable. And you know, that's what we're trying to continue to do. Bring more people in that have that passion, that want to keep, you know, helping players that are coming up from a new generation to reach new levels. But we tell them all, like, it doesn't have to be a full-time thing for you. Yeah. You know, you come in, you know, work at your own pace, you set your own schedule, you get the amount of clients that you're comfortable with, and use that as an extra source of income and a way to, I guess, as a release. Use that little bubble of potential income as a release, because it is rewarding. Like, every time I step onto the field for an individual session, regardless of whatever else I'm doing that day, like, as soon as I get on the field, it's like I can feel like my whole body just relax. Yeah. You know? like I take a deep breath, whether I realize it or not. Like I take that deep breath and I forget about everything else.
Yeah.
And the same thing for, when I step onto the field to run a team session as well, the whole world just stops for that moment. And I love that about it, and I'm going to continue doing that, and I want to help more trainers then find that for themselves as well. And that's kind of what we're trying to do now with our structure is work through the trainer. I can impact way more players if I educate the trainers, if I work with the trainers, as opposed to filling up my schedule with clients.
Yeah.
And that's what we're trying to do. I think that with our social media following, with our online presence, we do have a strong presence there. Yeah, it's not where we want it to be yet. It's not where it's gonna be in the future, but we're getting there. And if we can really build out the global brand that we're trying to build, I mean, we're gonna be able to reach the entire world, and that's like my dream is Footy Factory. It can go with me wherever I go. Yeah. Footy Factory will go with you wherever you go. I'm not always just going to be here in Dallas. I want to be able to pursue other opportunities. Footy Factory can support me financially to where I can go and pursue other team coaching opportunities and not think about the money necessarily. Yeah. Because that's not what it's about for me. It's like the opportunity and getting to that top level. And I know it's the same thing for you too. You want to pursue your criminal justice degree and all that, and Footy Factory is going to allow you to the freedom and the financial flexibility to be able to pursue that without any conditions or strings attached.
And that's why I love it, is because even just like obviously with us being the owners, well, that sounds weird. With us being the owners, obviously it's like I think people don't really realize how much like kind of backroom stuff we do. Yeah. Even just like the social media and stuff, but like a lot of
this right here.
Like a lot of the times this doesn't really feel like work. Yeah. It's just because you see the end goal in sight. You see not in sight, but you can see we're headed in the right direction. So it's not, oh man, we got to get on the Instagram all the time. Oh man, we got to make these videos. It's like, oh hey, if we get on the Instagram, we can reach more people. If we do these videos correctly, then more people are going to see what we're doing, which will in turn bring new players that want to come in and work with us, and like it has already, it'll bring in trainers that want to work with us. Yep. And so, I mean, it's just nice because nothing ever really feels like it's just work. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Obviously, we're not the best video editors. We're getting there, so that's a little frustrating at times. But I mean, at the end of the day, all the stuff we're doing, we've taken some of obviously not taken wrong steps, but we've done things that we probably wish we hadn't have, whether it was like merging or different stuff. But it's all helping us grow, and I think now we're at a place where I think we know we're doing all the right stuff right now, and so it's exciting because it's a matter of, hey, if we keep the pace up with what we're at, then we know we're gonna grow, whether it's a little bit this year or whether it's a lot. As long as we're growing more, that's all that matters.
Absolutely. So. Yep, for sure. With that, it's like, we have the picture of where we want to be, and like you said, it's just about taking the steps every day to get closer to that. And so it's about enjoying then the process. And I feel like with what we're doing now, the process is a lot more enjoyable.
Oh yeah, it's like we're not juggling 3 different things.
It's like 100 different things. Yeah, it's just way too much. Way too much. A lot. And I had another thing that I was going to throw in there that just slipped my mind, so we're just going to move past that. But at the end of the day, it's about being flexible. It's about, understanding understanding the society that you're in, the community that you're in, the market that you're in, and adapting to it. So it's just about adapting, and then whenever you adapt, you have to change what you're doing to meet those needs. And then from there, you just have to grow, adapt, change, and grow. And that's all it is to it. you know, if you can master those three things, and just like in every moment of adversity, or even not adversity, you know, even if it's like positive things that are happening, can you analyze the situation? Can you adapt from it, change from it, and then grow from it? Yeah. And if you can do those three things, like, you're unstoppable. Mm-hmm. You're unstoppable.
Yeah. For sure.
Well,
so do we want to?
That's pretty much all we had to discuss in this episode, and hopefully we didn't leave anything out. But
I don't think so.
You know, I just wanted to say, Evan, you know, it's been an absolute just pleasure having you a part of what we're doing, and I'm so happy that you're a part of my life. Like, you have really grown into much more than just, obviously, much more than an employee, much more than a business partner, but I think you're truly my best friend, and I'm happy that you know, we get to do this together, and you know, I'm just so excited about what we have coming for us.
Yeah, I'm excited to see where we're going too. Definitely think the same way. It's so funny just to think about how, man, when did I hop on board? It's 4 years ago.
It's been a while.
Yeah, I mean, right when I got back from school, literally got back, didn't know exactly what I was gonna do for work, and then Pat gave you my number.
Yeah.
I got back on a Friday, and I think we met on a Tuesday, and then just ever since, it's exciting.
Ever since you've just been here, and I've seen you grow up so much since then. You know, you've grown from just kind of not shy, but just kind of you know, you kept to yourself. You didn't really, you know, put your 2 cents into too much, to now being a confident person, and a happy person, and I see that in you, and you're growing as a business professional too, and it's just good to see, man. I'm happy that I can be here for you, and I'm happy that you're here for me. So.
For sure, man. I'm definitely feels a lot cooler being, obviously, owning it with you.
Yeah.
And just seeing what we have and seeing how we can grow it, and then even just some of the coaches that we brought in, just knowing that they're a good fit for us, and knowing how exciting all this can get if we just, you know, just keep
bringing
putting
the right
one
people
foot in front of the other. Yeah.
Bringing the right people.
Yep.
I guess what I was going to say earlier is, you know, we're trying to automate this, you know, so bringing in the right people is super important, because if we can bring in people that will do the work that we'll do, you know, with the quality that we do, and take a little bit of pressure off of us, then that allows us to then go out and expand and grow even more.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm just looking forward to what this is going to look like at the end of this year.
Yeah.
I know that this year is going to be big for us. 2020 was a change of direction. 2021 was us taking steps down that path,
laying the groundwork.
And now we're about to run down that shit, man.
We are, man. I know what we're gonna do. I don't know what 2022. I don't know what 2022 is gonna do.
Who knows? Who knows? Hopefully it calms down a little bit.
Yeah, man. I hope so.
It is getting crazy out there.
It's nuts. But yeah, man. Perfect.
My man. Let's keep going. Let's keep going.
Let's get it.